Hi, I'm Mrs. Walters, and I'm a St. Tammany Parish Public School librarian. And today we're talking about this book, Max Einstein. It is written by James Patterson and Chris Grabenstein, and this is the first in the 3 books that he has written so far in the Max Einstein series. This book is also up for the voting for LYRC, or Louisiana Young Reader's Choice, if your school votes, for this coming year in the 2020-2021 school year. So this might be one of the books that you add to your want to read list. Today I'm going to be reading from chapter 3. Chapter 1 and 2 talk about her ideas and her desires to create a green gas mill using horse manure as the fuel. So this is where we're going to start today because it talks a little bit about Max and who she is as a character. Max glanced at her watch. It was only 6:17 a.m. She, unlike Mr. Kennedy, was an early riser. Always had been. Probably always would be. The morning, especially that quiet space between dreaming and total wakefulness, was when most of her massive ideas floated through her drowsy brain. The ideas that helped tamp down the sadness that could come in those some quiet times. A sadness that all orphans probably shared, made more intense because Max had no idea who either of her parents were. Max creaked her way back up the hall to her room as quietly as she could. She could hear Mr. Kennedy already snorting behind her. Max had decorated her own sleeping space in the stables building the same way she had decorated all the rooms she had temporarily lived in, by propping open her battered suitcase on its side to turn it into a display case for all things Albert Einstein. Books by and about the famous scientist were lined along the bottom like a bookshelf. Both lids were filled with her collection of Einstein photographs and quotes. She even had an Einstein bobblehead doll she found once upon a time in a museum store dumpster. She used it as a bookend. Max couldn't remember where the suitcase came from. She just always had it. It was older than her rumpled knit sweater, and that thing was an antique. The oldest photograph in her collection, the one that someone other than Max, she didn't know who, had pasted inside the suitcase lid so long ago that its edges were curling, showed the great professor lost in thought. He had a bushy mustache and a long, unkempt hair. His hands were clasped together almost as if in prayer. His eyes were gazing up toward infinity. That photograph was Max's oldest memory, and since she never knew her own parents at an early age, Max found herself talking to the kind, grandfatherly man at bedtime. He was a very good listener. She became curious as to who the mystery man might be, and that's how her lifelong infatuation with all things Einstein began. This is a picture of her suitcase, if you can see it. Like how he was born in Germany, but he had to leave his home before the Second World War, and how he was so busy thinking of big, amazing ideas, he sometimes forgot to pay attention to his job at the patent office. They had a lot in common. Next to the photograph was Max's absolutely favorite Einstein quote, "Imagination is more important than knowledge. Unless, of course, you don't have the money to make the things you dream up come true," Max muttered. Mr. Kennedy was right. She couldn't afford to build her green gas mill, and she couldn't ask Mr. Sammy Monk for his horse manure or anything else because Sammy Monk couldn't know anybody was living in the abandoned floors of his horse stable. She'd just have to imagine a different solution to the squatter's heating dilemma, one that didn't cost a dime and could be created out of someone else's discarded scraps. Max turned her computer, which she had built herself from found parts. It was amazing what people in New York City tossed to the curb on garbage pickup days. Max had been able to solder together which perfectly good soldering iron someone had thrown out, enough discarded circuit boards, unwanted wiring, abandoned processors, rejected keyboards, and one slightly blemished retina screen from a cast-off MacBook Pro to create a machine that worked even faster than her mind. She also had free Wi-Fi, thanks to a Link NYC public hotspot system. She could even recharge her computer's batteries, discovered abandoned behind one of the city's glossy Apple stores. At the kiosk down the block from the stables, there was reliable Wi-Fi, and that was one of the main reasons Max had selected her current accommodations. Easy access to a top-flight school was the other. Max clicked open a browser, went back to the internet page she had bookmarked the night before. It was a nightmarish news report about children as young as 7 working in perilous conditions in the Democratic Republic of the Congo to mine cobalt that ends up in smartphones, cars, and computers sold to millions across the world. The children, as many as 40,000, were being paid $1 a day to do this backbreaking work. They were also helping make a shadowy international business consortium called the Core really, really, really rich. The story broke Max's heart because Max's heart, like her hero, Dr. Einstein's, was huge. Well, because of this huge heart and because she is such an intelligent girl, as you find out, she actually attends college at the age of 12. Max Einstein is being recruited by 2 groups, one good and one bad. You have to read the book to find out which one she joins. But Max Einstein wants to solve the world's problems. She wants to solve this problem with the children in the Congo. So, just like that, there are problems we can solve in different ways. One of these is by growing plants. Not everybody has soil to grow with, but most people have water, and that's what you can do today. You can do what's called hydroponics. Hydroponics is when you grow plants without the use of soil. So here I have been growing some for you. Here is a sweet potato, and it's already grown this much. All you do is clip these off from the actual eyes and plant it in the ground, in the soil. After it has grown these, and your sweet potato will grow. You'll have many sweet potatoes. This is an avocado seed. This is carrot, garlic, and you can eat the sprouts. This is romaine lettuce, and it just started growing, and the center part here has grown that much. And then this is green onions. These I clipped off last week right here, and they've already regrown this much. So these do regrow. There are other vegetables that regrow. Those are leeks. And then we have lettuce, bok choy, cabbage. All of those will regrow just by placing it in water in a bowl or in a jar. Be a scientist and just try this experiment. I hope you're reading a lot of amazing books like Max Einstein. There are 3 in the series, so like I said, when you read one, you know there's 2 more to follow for this series. I hope we can continue reading and learning together and watch more videos on STPPS TV or go to stpsb.org to watch more videos. And like my grandmother always said, hit those books.